I'm Bree, and this is Makeup Movies and Stuff, where I do my makeup, talk about movies, and stuff. I've been looking forward to this one. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna try and get through this. Today we're gonna take a look at Saw. If you are new to this channel, I don't know. We'll forget that ever happened. If you are new to this channel, I am doing a review of the movies that the metalcore band Ice Nine Kills does songs about. And I end the video with a rundown of the Ice Nine Kills song and how freaking great it is. But the focus of the video is the movie itself, and I do a makeup look based on that movie while I talk. If you have not yet, I recommend you check out my other videos. I have one on A Nightmare on Elm Street, I have one on Friday the 13th, I did one on Halloween, and I just put one out on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All talking about the originals of each of these movies, including Saw today, which is a rated R horror movie. There will be language, there will be adult content, there's murder and things, and I do a synopsis of the movie before I go into breaking it all down, so obviously there will be spoiler alerts. And now, here is track 5 of the Silver Scream album, The Jig Is Up, based on the torturous 2004 thriller Saw, starring Cary Elwes, Danny Glover, and the haunting Tobin Bell. I think I did pretty good. In the past, when I've done whiteface, I've done the white cake makeup and just patted it on in layers like foundation. But one, it takes a long time if you want it to blend looking right. And two, we're doing a ventriloquist puppet who has seen some better days. So we are going to use cream makeup today. So don't judge me. Here we go. A light floats in a bathtub, illuminating the face of an unconscious man lying in the water. The man suddenly comes to, draining the water from the tub as we watch the floating light slip down the drain. The man gets out of the tub and discovers he is chained to a hefty pipe in an intensely dark room. It is quickly made clear that he is not alone, speaking to another man somewhere in the dark. The lights come on, and seeing each other and the shithole they're chained in for the first time, they find yet another man lying face down, dead, in a pool of blood, apparently having shot himself in the head. He holds a small handgun and a tape recorder. More like a dictaphone. It's like a mini tape recorder. These are small. I just realized I haven't covered my eyebrows, so we're gonna start again. We're not gonna start again with the story. We're gonna start this over. My face needs help. Oh, I didn't put any on that side. It's because the camera's backwards. All clean. It's not wasting it if it's cheap. Cream makeup. Always leaves my face a little wet though. Okay, there we go. Let's do these eyebrows. I want to use my new fancy one. Got so much fancy makeup stuff for Christmas. This one's for my sister. She always gives me the nicest things. I'm spoiled. Anyway, there might be a lot of levity in this one because this movie is a real downer. Yeah. They each discover a tape with their name on it saying, "Play me." The man from the bathtub, Adam, is told by his tape to fight for his life. The other man, oncologist Dr. Lawrence Gordon, is instructed to kill Adam by 6 p.m. to save his family from being killed. Let the game begin. Shut up, I'm gonna do it. I love it. Love that voice. Love it. They are told there are clues all around them, and Adam is led by one such clue to search the toilet near him, finding a bag with 2 small hacksaws. They attempt to saw their chains off, but find that they are too flimsy when Adam's breaks. Now with only Gordon's saw remaining, he stops sawing and realizes that the saws are meant for their feet. He then reveals that he knows of the serial killer who has done this. He is still at large. So begins a story told through flashbacks with breaks back into the present occasionally. Gordon was at one point considered a suspect after his penlight was discovered at the scene of one of these victims' deaths. The scene was just this horrific thing of a barbed wire trap that a man did not successfully get through. He had tried to slash his wrists and was unsuccessful, and so that's why he was being punished, and he bled to death. Cops tap and sing. Call Gordon into his office for questioning as he is showing some students a patient with a brain tumor, inoperable brain tumor. And you'll notice one of the female students is quite enthralled with Dr. Gordon. But anyway, we'll get back to that. Anyway, the orderly passing by, whose name is Zeb, says, is it Zeb or is it Zep? I was saying earlier. Zeb, yeah. I guess I can look. Zep. Oh great. I have it in there wrong like 100 times. His name is Zep. He says that the patient's name is John, and that he's interesting. Very interesting. Gordon is cleared with his alibi that he is having an affair. However, he is made to listen to the testimony of the only surviving victim, a drug addict, who had to kill and open up a drug-paralyzed dude in order to free herself from a trap built to split her head open at the mouth. I'm gonna try some liquid latex on top and see how well that works. Because I really loved this stuff last time when I did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but now I'm going to put it over the eyebrows. Where are we? A terrifying puppet on a tricycle, Billy, who gave her the rules to the game, tells her that she should be grateful to be alive. She says that it saved her, essentially. The cops find a live victim tied to another contraption in Jigsaw's lair and narrowly manage to save him. But they have encountered Jigsaw himself, who proclaims his displeasure with all the ungrateful people in the world. He slashes Tap in the neck, wounding him, and gets away. Singh is killed by a trap in pursuit of Jigsaw. It's this line of shotguns that all go off directly above his head. We don't see exactly what it does to him, but there is lots of blood, and you can imagine. A lot of this movie is you can imagine. And it'll make sense why later. So now we're back in the present. Zep is watching the two men at Gordon's apartment, where he has Gordon's wife and daughter tied up. Zep, the orderly from earlier, who said that John was very interesting. There we go. Not proficient with my left hand, but I'm making it work. I do feel like my eyebrows are disappearing. I mostly want to get rid of the hair texture. I'm okay with the latex texture because Billy is so rough on the outside, but I just want to get rid of like the hairs. I may build this up more. I may do another layer of latex. Anyway, let's see. Tap is watching Gordon's apartment, still obsessed with proving Gordon is Jigsaw, and sees Zep through the window. Gordon and Adam tell each other how they were kidnapped by a dude in a pig mask. And all of this stuff happens between, like, clues and, like, you know, there's glow-in-the-dark paint, they turn the lights back off, and there's an X where the wall breaks open, and there's a box in there, it has a couple things, you know. Gordon has a clue in his wallet, it's a Polaroid photo of his family tied up. Lots of things, follow your heart, he has to reach into the... we already did that. Anyway. Now... Adam is forced to reveal that he is a shady investigative photographer and was paid to watch Gordon by a tall black guy with a scar around his neck, identified as being Tap. Because they were trying to figure out, well, Gordon says if you were paid to watch me, then that's the guy who's got us locked up. And no, it turns out it's just the cop who is obsessed with proving his guilt. This synopsis is going to be kind of long, because there's kind of a lot of little things that you have to remember. Oh, you remember that from earlier? Oh, I didn't tell you about that. You know, so I'm trying my best. It's very, shockingly, it's very puzzle-like. Gordon believes he's being tested because of his affair. It's 6 p.m., and Zep tries to kill Gordon's family, but his wife fights back, and Tap ends up saving them. Zepp escapes with a shot in the chest. Gordon hears the struggle over this phone, and one of the things that they found, it's the thing that they found in the wall. There was a one-way cell phone that, he was receiving calls, but he couldn't call out. And he was on the phone when the shooting and screaming all happens. He freaks out and saws his foot off to get free. He's like, okay, my family is in danger. I'm just going to take the damn thing off. So he makes a tourniquet with his overshirt and saws his leg off. So Gordon's cut his foot off. He then shoots Adam, apparently dead, because, that's what he was supposed to do to save his family, so he's still desperately trying to play the game in a desperate attempt to save his family. Zepp shows up and tries to kill Gordon because he didn't kill Adam in time. But Adam ambushes him from behind and beats him to death with the toilet tank lid. Gordon crawls out of the room to find help, because he says, if I don't find help, I'll bleed to death. It was better than that. I'm not Carrie Elwes. Adam searches Zepp's body and finds a tape revealing that Zepp was also just a victim playing a game. The dead guy, you remember the dead guy? The one that shot himself in the head has been lying on the floor the entire time. The dead guy gets up and peels off some special effects makeup, and it's the cancer patient from before. His name is John Kramer. He tells Adam the key to his restraints was in the tub. It was the little light floating in the tub at the very beginning, the one that went down the drain. John leaves Adam to die as he finally puts all of the pieces together. Game over. So what'd you think? Showed my mom this for the first time on Monday so that I could write out my synopsis. How's the text? Okay. Now let's do the white. Okay. Let's see if there's still some left over in the sponge. There's a little bit. We're gonna gob this shit on though. And I'm gonna leave that orange instead of trying to blend it with my skin tone like I did for Texas Chainsaw, just because everything's gonna be white anyway, so it should blend evenly with the white if I cake it on the way I plan to. So this movie came from Australia, which I thought was shocking. It was James Wan and Leigh Whannell who met at film school, James Wan, heard his name countless times. He's the guy that did The Conjuring and Insidious, and of course, he's associated with Saw. Like, that's the kind of movie that he makes, right? So I know of this guy. Definitely had no idea he was Australian. I thought he was from Asia. I guess he's Malaysian, but he's Australian. Yeah, anyway, that surprised me. Is like finding out that like Hugh Jackman was Australian, or Christian Bale, my Batman, was British. That's what I knew him as, was Batman. The new Batman, I should say. What am I talking about? This sponge is just about had it. But I'm gonna use it anyway. It's good. It makes it look rough. It's bad. It's bad good. It's good bad. So like I said, they met at film school. Leigh Whannell desperately wanted to be a writer and an actor. James Wan wanted to be a director so bad. And these buddies, teamed up on a lot of stuff. But they wanted to do a big project together. But most movies, even today, are still funded by the government in Australia. So a lot of people didn't want to touch Saw, but I'm getting ahead of myself. They came up with this really basic idea, and they came up with a script, and we're gonna just make it out of pocket with, I think it was like $300,000 just out of pocket funds. And then their producer, Stacey Testro, who has worked on a bunch of their stuff since, she, I guess, read the script and was just like, you guys, you shouldn't just make this out of pocket. Like, this could be, you should option this out and, like, get some more money and you can make it even better. Like, don't ruin what could be a really amazing project, basically. So it's wiping off of the latex more than I like over here. Why is this one obnoxious? Anyway, we'll just have to paint thicker over there. Because the stuff does not dry. You gotta powder it, and then it's iffy. So what they ended up doing was they wrote a short based on is essentially just the reverse bear trap scene when the drug addicts got the headpiece on that is going to split her head open by the mouth. Anyway, they made a short out of it. They would send out their script to places with this short so that they could get the feel of like what they wanted this to be and to excite people into getting involved. Here we go. Greg Hoffman, who has passed away, was pulled into his friend's office to watch this short, and he just like fell all over himself for it. He wanted to do this movie. Greg Hoffman was part of Evolution Entertainment, which he helped create their own horror brand called Twisted Pictures. It's like when Disney started making edgier movies in the 80s and 90s, they created a separate label so that you kind of knew what you were getting yourself in for. You know, it was going to be a little more adult content, and that was Touchstone Pictures. And they're still around, I think, as far as I know. Then Lionsgate got involved. James Wan says that Lionsgate was involved by pre-production, just very early on, and that they were the ones who were really gung-ho about getting this movie made, was their studio. I'm trying to blend a little softer, because I feel like I lose a lot of makeup by trying to aggressively blend. I'm trying my best to be gentle. Okay. And the main forerunners of that were Jason Constantine and Peter Block. They loved it. Inspiration came from a few places. Like I said, they were trying to figure out what project they wanted to make out of pocket, and due to their small means, no money, no resources, no nothing. I mean, they had some resources, but like nothing. You know what I mean. They came up with the idea that it was going to be a movie about two guys stuck in a room. I think it was one came up with the idea that there would be a third man, apparently dead, and by the end of it, they find out that he's the reason they're stuck in the room. And they didn't have anything more than that initially, but when Lee heard the idea initially over the phone, he hung up the phone and just, for no reason at all, just wrote Saw in a blood red dripping text, is what Wikipedia says. And he said, it was just one of those moments that made me aware that some things are really meant to be. Some things are just waiting there to be discovered. Another couple sources of inspiration were Blair Witch Project, which was another indie low-budget horror film that is, I don't want to say easily reproducible, but easily achieved with small means. You know, effectively scary. Although I thought Blair Witch was boring. And that's probably because I didn't see it until much, much later, so I wasn't in the whole found footage hype. Because I was like, oh, you know, it couldn't possibly be actual found footage. That would be treated very differently. Also, it was just boring. There's a bunch of whiny filmmaker kids running around in the woods. Like, I got enough of that in high school. The character... Hold on. No, this is... I need to watch that. And a day will come when I will do that. But it is not this day. Anyway. That's not gonna... I should have let that dry, but... Another movie that was allegedly an inspiration for Saw was a movie called Pi, where it's like this mathematician goes crazy and finds the meaning of life. It sounds like it's a existential sort of, like what I think 23, the number 23 is basically like, for people who find coincidental numbers and the meaning of life scary. I don't know. I haven't seen 23 either, so, you know, in fairness, I haven't given either of these movies a fair chance. But even still, it's a movie about numbers. So Waylon was experiencing headaches and went to go get checked out. He went to a neurologist to have an MRI because he was convinced that he had a brain tumor. While he was waiting for the results, he was thinking, like, what would you do with the knowledge that you were going to die? Like, not that you're going to die in the sense that everybody is going to die, but like, you only have this amount of time to come to terms with things and do something with your life, do something about it. So that played into the whole John Kramer being a cancer patient who wants to show people how grateful they should be for their lives. He just had the idea of, you know, being told you're gonna die, being told you can do something about it that may end up killing you anyway, or accepting your fate, I guess. Which I think kind of unintentionally relates exactly to being a cancer patient. If you do nothing, you will die. But you could have an invasive surgery that could kill you. You can go through chemotherapy that could kill you. There are treatments, but they're not there yet. We have a lot more to learn about cancer. Anyway, so it's like, what do you do? What do you do? I kind of like this, so I think I'm gonna leave it. It's wide enough, and I plan on doing something kind of cool to it that will help add dimension. I got light all over me. So, casting. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. So the cast. First of all, you got Lee Whalen. He plays Adam. I was thinking. Okay, so here's where my brain is. We will discuss later that green is an important part of this movie. I wanted to do my face shading in green, but I'm afraid it will look too off. Anyway, so if you're wondering, that's what I'm doing. And then you had Cary Elwes, you know, classic actor, Princess Bride, Robin Hood, great actor. He loved the short when he saw it. Apparently he was on board after the first read through, which is incredible. Apparently they say he was a gentleman and he kept coming to them like, I don't know this stuff, I don't know this genre, teach me. In order to prepare for the role, he went to the UCLA neurosurgery department. I thought that was cool. He ended up filing a lawsuit saying that they didn't pay him correctly, pay him what he was promised, but it got settled out of court, I think. And he must not have been too upset about it because he came back for one of the sequels. Danny Glover is the detective in it, and he is the detective because he is Danny Glover, and he said that the detective role really appealed to him, which is Danny Glover. Of course it did. I don't think this shading is working out the way I want it to. This might actually be working. Shawnee Smith played Amanda, the drug addict victim who gets away and says that he like saved her life, basically, that Jigsaw did. Shawnee was not a horror fan. She was sick as a dog. She did not want to do the movie initially, and then they showed her the short where Lee played her character, and she said she had a Cinderella moment. Felt like she was the belle of the ball, and she was encouraged by that to participate. Her being sick added another level of realism because she could barely stand. She was so sick. It does make it seem like she's just barely hanging on in that scene, which I think is probably the most iconic trap from any of the movies. She got hired on because Whannell had a crush on her. Like, seriously, that's what it was. She does a fantastic job, and she even reprises her role in the first and the second sequels, where she actually becomes one of Jigsaw's accomplices. He ends up having several accomplices through the series. I believe that Cary Elwes, his character, becomes an accomplice in the sequel that he returned for. Now let's talk about Tobin Bell. His voice is incredible without the voice changing. The way he speaks is very cultured and precise. You can tell he has intelligence, which makes him terrifying as a killer. He got involved because he thought it was a great story. Also, he really wanted to work with Danny Glover. He had never worked with Danny before. And then the most important reason he agreed to do it was he was enthralled with the twist ending. Loved it. And he says that Lee's reaction at the end, Adam's reaction, is what sells that moment. You can feel that terror just rushing on him as the realization that he is going to die. Bell really did lay on the floor for the entirety of shooting the bathroom scenes. He laid there. They were gonna make a mock-up of him so that he didn't have to lay on the floor, but I think him really being there really sells the end when you felt his presence the whole time. He was considered by some Jigsaw, the character, as a new Freddy Krueger. And he has that balance between the killer who is very clever and sadistic in his methods of killing, almost like a Joker character, Batman's Joker, and that stoic, this is how it must be, kind of the creepiness of no humor in this man. The humor is sick and twisted. Somebody that sliced their wrists with razor blades dies bleeding to death on razor blades. You know, it's looking a little Beetlejuicy, but I'm down with that. I am gonna do something different, though. I'm gonna take this, go into the grubby light green, and wear this down a little more. Wear down this white. Filth up this white. Let it highlight. Let the white highlight extended parts. Anyway, Juan talks about how Orson Welles used to cast his people by closing his eyes and just listening to their voice. If you can't convey it through your voice, it's not worth it. And that's essentially a skill that Tobin has, just naturally. And it's not just because his voice is deep. It's the way he pronounces things, just the delivery. It's very cold, very calculating. Okay, I'm gonna go into doing the eyes. Black and white, that's always fun. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of, oh no. You know what I should do? I'm gonna get my dab black. For special effects, the bear trap, reverse bear trap, it actually pops open like that. It has a canister on it that allows it to open very, very, very quickly. It was also very heavy because it was made out of real materials. I'm trying to bring the eye up to just underneath the eyebrow to make it look more popped over, because the eyebrows, or the non-eyebrows, are out very far. And Smith held it in her mouth with a popsicle stick, with a tongue depressor, is what she said. And like I said, she was sick. She was so sick. It must have just been like everything she could do to keep that thing open or up on her. I'll do like touching up and stuff later, but this is just a base to put the actual colors on, like a primer. I use this as my black primer most of the time. Okay, trust the process. Trust the process. Trust the process. Okay, we're gonna use the red really quick. For the barbed wire room, they used like party shop rubberized barbed wire, like the kind you get for like Halloween decorations, and they just shook the hell out of it. It just looked very real. Billy the puppet, what I am doing right now, or trying to do right now, should have put the red on first. I didn't do that. Okay, so I'm spot removing right now, just because I feel like if I don't get rid of at least most of this black, the red is just not gonna come through. I'm gonna try the red again. Billy the puppet, who I am trying to imitate currently, riding out on his trike, first of all, is terrifying. Just a horrible visual. Haunting. I went to a haunted house at the local amusement park here called Lagoon. Went to a seasonal haunted house that they had set up, that in one of the rooms there was like a kid or something dressed as Billy riding around on a tricycle. You had to get past him to get out of the room. It was so scary. Just get the red down and then we'll clean it up with the black. I'm not as worried about the cheeks because it's white. I'm sorry, I've tried to say this several times. Billy the puppet on the trike was pulled forward with nothing more than fishing line. And I think it's that simplicity to it that makes it really chilling. For the art direction, they wanted the whole movie, the entire movie, to have a very visceral filthiness that almost activates all your senses. Like, you can even smell the bathroom that they're in. You can feel the shit water that Adam puts his hand in. Okay. They even gave the direction for the editor that they wanted everything to have kind of a green flavor, especially for Jigsaw, especially his traps. So green light, green filter, greenish. It's gross. Not quite right. The bathroom, they decided the bathroom would be like the bathroom of a meat factory, where the men that worked there would have to wash up in at the end of the day after they'd been dealing with carcasses and blood and all that. They built this bathroom by like going to the local Home Depot and like, I guess it was production assistants that were just putting this together, which is like a general term for like whoever they could get. The hallway that Sing runs down was constructed by the art director with duvetine, which is like a heavy velvety black fabric. And they were warned, like, don't run too fast or you'll make the duvetine move. Why is it getting so messy? So messy. I want clear lines. In the barbed wire room, the guy, I think it was the guy who was in the trap, got knocked out by a pipe in the basement where they were filming. And it was like a legit unfinished basement with like a dirt floor. I'm sorry, you guys, this is gonna be rough. We'll see if we can save it. Shooting was 18 days, and that meant that a lot of scenes had to be cut from the shooting film, the shooting script. A lot of scenes that had been written had to be dropped because of the tight shooting schedule. Shit. Let's see if we can powder these and make them a little more clear. Let me get my good black out. There were a lot of scenes that were done in single takes because that's all they had time for. They took lots of still shots after the fact of random things, and that's why you have those sequences of very fast still visuals and like pickup shots and things like that, which were done. The pickup shots were done just as well as they could do. There's one scene where Sing actually played by Lee. Just things like that. It took some creative thinking and some clever editing in order to make the short amount of footage work. The music, which we've been listening to, was composed by Charlie Clouser. I think I pronounced that right. James Wan wanted the score to be beautiful, disjointed, like a real film soundtrack, but with a twistedness to it. Like the pieces are all put together finally. Clouser said you can get away with a lot of extreme sounds in horror movie soundtracks, which includes the harsh drums, shrill, what sounds like woman's scream tones. It's chilling, but it's busy and it's anxious. It really pushes everything along, just moves everything forward. There is a bleak nihilism to the movie, and the non-linear story plays like a puzzle where you're getting pieces at random times, but in the end they all come together and you can see it. Arguably one of the best twist endings ever written, or at least ever filmed. They changed the formula for what horror was going to be for the next decade at least. I remember when Saw came out. That was the new movie that was so bad. Let's see, I would have been in 04. I was 12. I was 12 when Saw came out. I think it works. Let's put some red on there. And I mean, it was just that movie that like your parents warned you like don't ever watch this movie. You are not old enough to watch this movie. My parents were like, we're not even gonna watch this movie. I was 12. So yeah, I didn't see it until much later because I had heard it was horrible and a hard watch. And it ended up being pretty good. Not the worst I've ever seen. As far as horror, okay, I think flesh it out a little bit more. We'll say Billy's paint is peeling. And not that it had never been done before, but the bad guy wins. I love how this is a puzzle, for one. And I love movies where you get to know these characters only to find out that none of them survive. Only the bad guy makes it out. And, you know, he leaves. He survives. And he wins. He wins the game. Game over. It's something that horror movies began to really be known for. There is no final girl. There is no savior. The cop you think that's gonna come help them, he's dead. He gets shot on his way to go get Jigsaw. I mean, that's what I get out of it. Anyway, got released at Sundance. It opened at the Egyptian Sundance, which I think is running right now, close to where I live, or it might have just ended. I can't remember when Sundance happens, but I know it's like right at the beginning of the year. But I guess the Blair Witch Project and The Descent had opened there too. 1, 2, 4, 5. We're gonna see if we can get through this. To their surprise, they ended up with 3 sold out midnight showings of Saw. It'd be so cool to see Saw in the theater, especially at midnight. It would just be badass. This is almost gone. One more. I'll look at the other red out. I'm doing the best I can. Apparently it tested so high that they thought that they were reading the numbers. It tested so high at Sundance and then again at a film festival in Vegas that they thought that Whale and his group, not Whale, Juan and his group were fudging the numbers. This originally was just going to be a direct-to-home movie, but it ended up becoming so much more. It only got a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes cumulatively. People compare it a lot to Seven and say that it's like just a not as good Seven, but I disagree for several reasons. One, this story, it really fudged this up. Why is that so difficult? One, you could essentially perform a version of Saw on stage with just 3 men. That is a big deal. It means that your story can stand on its own. Also, it's told from the perspective of the latest victims. It has an escape room feel, which those weren't really a thing yet. I'm sure Saw helped inspire those. Critics said that basically that everything was bad, from the story to the acting. Everything got ragged on. And I think it's because it really changed the rules. This side is just not going to be as pretty. This was essentially the movie or the series that began the idea of torture porn, or began the term torture porn, which I don't think the first one is, now that I've seen it a few times. I've seen the later ones. Those could definitely be considered torture porn, but Billy's got a little roughed up on one side. That's fine. But I think the first one definitely has a uniqueness to it and a purpose. Kind of helped in getting Hostel made, because Eli Roth was told that it was too dark. It harkens to the rough, dirty insanity of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but puts an interesting flash on things. I don't know if this is on purpose, but you don't really care about anybody. Any of the characters. Like, you don't really care if they survive, except that it would be fun to watch them, finish the game. But you're kinda okay with Jigsaw winning. Fans built it and continue to build it into what it is today. It was a passion project, and it's beloved by people who got it. Wano says he watches the first Saw and he sees naivety. He says he didn't know how to write a film, he didn't know how to act practically. It was basically a dream come true for them. They made the movie that they wanted to make, and that's what got it made. I think I did pretty okay. I think this needs a wig though. We're not gonna do wigs today. I'm already done with the look. I can keep working on that cheek till I'm done. Where'd that white pencil go? That's helping. Okay. Wallen said that he really felt like he had made it once Saw got mentioned on The Sopranos. He was a big Sopranos fan, and that was when he knew he'd made it. It's been mentioned in Scary Movie, Robot Chicken, countless things. It's become a cultural piece, I guess. If you want to describe a really horrible torture porn type movie, instantly you think of Saw. It's iconic. You have Billy, you have Jigsaw, you have the traps. Yeah, that seems to have fixed it. It made a Guinness World Record. I can't remember what for, but... Oh, It was the highest grossing horror franchise. I'm not sure when, but yeah. It's a great movie with a micro budget, and that just makes it all the greater of a movie. And now for the Ice Nine Kills bit. So, I'm gonna read the lyrics to the song. It is mostly screaming. This one does not have a lot of actual singing in it, but it makes it rougher. It gives for very intricate, complicated lyrics. I'm getting ahead of myself, but okay, so no one's above the saw. Live or die. Now the choice is yours. Live or die. Their tightening vices unearthed to prove what they're worth. Amidst their sins, the game begins. A frightening chance to be saved with blood on the blade. Morality takes casualties. My blueprint to salvation shall breed a worthy generation that know they are the ones to blame and never will forget my name. You want to play a fucking game? All systems go. I saw through the selfish but saw no soul. They saw through skin, they saw through bone. Out on a limb to save my city. All systems go. They're all just gears in my machine. I savor every puzzled scream. A piece of them to carry with me. All systems go. If the choice is to kill or be killed, let the darker blood spill, 'cause it feeds the drive to stay alive. Unnatural selection engage. 2 rats in a cage. One reborn and one to mourn. My blueprint to salvation shall breed a worthy generation who know they are the ones to blame and never will forget my name. You want to play a fucking game? Then let's play. The chorus. I really like the chorus though. And then there is a segment that is in the Jigsaw voice, and I'm gonna do it that way, and you can't stop me. They said they had a purpose, but they're losing their composure. They said that they were grateful, but the jig is up. Game over. I really like this one. Anyway, will you find integrity when there's nothing left of me? All systems go. And then the chorus, and it goes out. So, breaking it down, it is essentially the movie. Like most Ice Nine Kills songs are, but it's so intricate. It is so well done. Live or die, which is one of the quotes from the movie, is now the choice is yours, live or die. Tightening vices. There are several things that could be, but I'm sure it references the ankle chains on the main characters to prove what they're worth. Amidst their sins, the game begins. A frightening chance to be saved with blood on the blade. So, sawing that foot off, that's how we're gonna get out. Morality takes casualties. So, my blueprint to salvation, you want to play a fucking game? Out on a limb. Do you get it? Do you get it? Out on a limb to save my city. Gears in the machine. Puzzled scream. He does take a chunk of skin off of one of the victims in the shape of a jigsaw puzzle piece. I just thought I would mention that. Piece of them to carry with me. If the choice is to kill or be killed, the darker blood spill, because it feeds the dark. A natural selection engage. 2 rats in a cage. One reborn and one to mourn. Gordon gets out, and Adam does not. Will you find integrity? They said they had a purpose. They said that they were grateful, but the jig is up. Game over. Last line of the movie. And the door is shut. It's just one of the greatest endings ever. And you may not be into twists. I'm a Shyamalan fan myself, but I thought it was great. And the song is amazing. And my look is fantastic. And I hope you enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed this one. I was so excited to do Saw because it is so much. There's not a lot known, not compared to the other ones, and I think it's because it's more recent. It came out in 2004, and we just don't appreciate it yet the way we should. But I tried to bring as much as I could into this, and it almost feels right that some things are kind of an enigma. Because that's Saw. It is a puzzle. And the pieces will come together. Did that seem creepy? Was that good? Was it a good one? Well, I gotta go. I have to return some videotapes.